Happy Tuesday, everyone. It's Eric here with another edition of Weather for Weather Geeks, the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. Today started not so great, ended up pretty great though, with some sunshine and a gusty wind and mild temperatures this afternoon. I want to start this evening with a quick time lapse. This is our Youngstown camera on our transmitter tower, kind of on the south side of Youngstown. We're of course looking towards downtown, towards the north here, and YSU and downtown in this shot. And yeah, kind of a murky, kind of a London-like start to the day today with that rain. But as we got into the afternoon as advertised, the sun broke out, mixed in with some fair weather clouds, and yeah, it was a good-looking afternoon. Temperatures this afternoon overachieved a little bit. We had 61 in the forecast today. It got to 65 at the airport this afternoon. Rainfall totals did pretty much do as we expected. Had 0.62 at my place in Boardman. At our downtown studios here, about a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, pretty common. A lot of these rain gauges. When I show you this graphic, sometimes a few numbers seem a little off, like this Sandy Lake number. These are actual rain gauges, and I have no quality control over any of these except for these two. And so if someone's computer was offline for a little while, or the rain gauge needs a little maintenance, nothing we can do about that. Sometimes we get a funky reading here and there, but it's nice to show you some actual rain gauge numbers instead of just radar estimates. The shower activity is pushed off to the east this evening. Partly cloudy sky overhead this evening, will become clear late tonight and heading into the day on Wednesday. We'll zip through the next couple of days pretty quickly, not much going on. I think there will be a gusty breeze for Wednesday. The atmosphere well mixed on Wednesday. And what I mean by that is from the ground up to about 5,000 feet, air parcels will be traveling up and down with ease, and so that can bring some of the gustier winds that are aloft down to the surface. A well mixed atmosphere oftentimes leads to a breezy day for us, and a lot of sunshine helps us out there to mix up the atmosphere. So yeah, you'll notice the breeze tomorrow afternoon gusting to 25, maybe even 30. Otherwise, great looking day. Temperatures 50s, lots of sun. It'll be somewhat milder on Thursday ahead of this next weak front. Now this front will kind of stall as we go into the day Friday, probably somewhere to our south. A little bit of moisture riding up and over that boundary might lead to a couple of showers Friday. I don't think it's much rain. I think it's a pretty cloudy day Friday, but I don't think it's a particularly wet day on Friday, just maybe a shower possibility. All right, let's talk about the weekend forecast. Now, if you've been watching my videos and following me on social media over the last couple of days, I've been talking about how Sunday's a real challenging forecast because we have a pretty big difference between two of our major medium-range models, the European model, the GFS model. Now, there's a bunch of other models that we look at on a day-to-day basis that I often don't show you in graphical form. These are the two kind of easiest to show you in our in-house graphic system, so I kind of default to those, but just know that we're looking at a lot of other stuff as well. The models are kind of in the same camp today as yesterday. European suggests a wet day Sunday, especially Sunday morning. It's a little faster with the moisture now, suggesting that the steadiest of the rain is mostly a morning event on Sunday. The GFS remains pretty darn dry, with most of the rain hugging the eastern seaboard and not a drop here locally. Now, some of the other modeling, including the Canadian model, a model called the UK Met, is more in line with the European. The European model ensemble system is in agreement with the operational model, so I'm starting to lean towards that wetter idea on Sunday as a result of a lot of this other modeling. GFS is kind of a lone wolf with this idea that the low is way over here. Not great news for the Youngstown Marathon. I'm hoping for a dry day. I wish the GFS were to be right, but I kind of suspect we're going to see some rain for the marathon, kicking off at 8 a.m. on Sunday. So stay tuned for more updates on the forecast for Sunday, whether you're running in the marathon, a spectator at the marathon, or doing anything outdoors on Sunday. Maybe heading to a pumpkin patch or a corn maze or doing other fall things. You should be fine Saturday, Sunday. Things may be a little bit dicey. 8 to 14 day outlook shows high odds of cooler than average temperatures in a lot of the country, with the exception of, well, the deep south and maybe parts of the west coast. But otherwise, yeah, this is a pretty chilly looking pattern as we go towards the end of October and into early November. With the winter forecast coming up in a couple of weeks on November 7th, I've been dropping a few hints on what I'm looking at and some of the stuff we study when it comes to making a seasonal forecast. One of the things that can be an ingredient towards predicting the overall pattern as you go into a seasonal forecast, the moisture content in the ground. There's kind of a feedback loop that occurs sometimes with the atmosphere and the moisture in the ground. The drier it is, the drier it tends to stay. The wetter it is, the wetter it tends to stay. In other words, when you have a lot of moisture in the ground, that tends to attract more unsettled weather. And when you have a dry ground, a dry soil, that tends to attract high pressure to sit overhead. And so sometimes this can be a little bit of a hint as to the pattern when you're looking at a seasonal time scale. And just looking at this would suggest that there may be a ridge out here, a trough in the middle of the country, and then kind of a ridge along the east coast when you just follow just the soil moisture. And this is actually not far off from perhaps what may evolve into the winter pattern, where you may have a ridge over the southeast a lot of the time, stormy weather here, and leaving us kind of in between, with maybe some battles between warm and cold being fairly frequent. We could be in a real battle zone this winter. So again, this is just one thing out of a lot of things that we look at, but it is kind of interesting to talk about the kind of the feedback loop that can occur between the ground and the atmosphere. Very moisture-laden ground out in the middle of the country, and that could help to kind of anchor a trough of low pressure and unsettled weather out in the middle of the country this winter. Also, maybe higher odds of colder than average weather underneath that trough in the nation's heartland. All right, winter forecast coming up in a couple of weeks. Thanks for checking out this evening's weather for Weather Geeks. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening.